Hey, welcome to the Table Talk Podcast. This is Caleb. Thrilled to be with you guys on this. This is Thursday morning for you. It's Tuesday morning for us. David, how you doing?
I'm doing a lot better.
Doing a lot better.
Yeah, I'm doing better. My voice after Sunday, the last Sunday before, we kept telling people mystery guest, and that week after, my voice was
still a mystery.
Was gone. It's still a mystery. One day, and so I was not able. I could hardly even talk. I was whispering for 2 days. You were gone.
Yep.
You were out of the country. You were in South Korea, which is incredible. And you just said it was an awesome trip.
Yeah, it was fantastic. It was really great to be with my friends, and it was good for me personally just to kind of have some margin and some time, and had a lot of really good moments with God while I was gone. So it was just really good. It was a good trip and a lot of good food. That definitely helps.
Yeah. I'm glad you got to go do that. What an experience. And we talked about this a little bit. It's like you loved it. You said, "Oh man, I would love to go back there or something." But stuff like that doesn't always happen. Right. Going to South Korea is not a normal trip. Right. And you may never go back there. It's like I'm glad you took that chance to go and do that. So what an incredible thing. What was your favorite part of South Korea? You said food, which is probably, it's always, anytime you're somewhere else, it's cool to experience all of that. But what was your favorite, maybe non-food part?
I would say my favorite non-food part was the history. So two things specifically. I went to Gyeongbokgung Palace, I think that's how you say it, which was the seat of the Joseon dynasty for like 800, 900 years. In the middle of Seoul. Just to be able to see the history there was amazing. That dynasty fought off the Russians and the Japanese, and like there's all this stuff for, so to be there was really cool. And then also going to the Korean War Museum was really something. I love history. That's one of my favorite things. And so to be in a place that had so much history, just, from historic civilization, but also to know like how much 20th century history and like world dynamics and things kind of took place on that peninsula in the Korean War, and to walk through that museum was just really well done. It was really cool for me to be able to do those two things. And so just the historical aspect of how old that civilization is and all the things that have happened there, combined with the Korean War Museum, was pretty awesome.
That's great.
Yeah. Sad. I mean, hard stuff, but history is just really special to me. And so to be in a place with so much history was awesome. Yeah.
Sounds like an awesome trip. I'm glad you got to go do that. While you were gone, we wrapped up our series on Colossians, keeping Christ at the center. I preached on that one, and that was supposed to be the one that we recorded about last week, keeping Christ at the center of our relationships. And I think this is a perfect lead-in. That was a perfect lead-in to this new series. The holidays it's so easy for Christ not to be at the center. Yeah, it's so easy for all of this stuff to come in and to pull our minds in different places, to distract us and make it about everything but Him. But we need to, just like with our relationships, just like with all the things we talked about in Colossians. We have to keep Christ at the center, and we. I think that's what this all is calm is just this idea of like, man, when Christ is at the center, we can have peace, we can have calm, and so I think this is an awesome series that you've come up with, and that you started off with this past week, talking about Mary and Joseph receiving this huge news.
Yeah. Well, it was fun for me to get into it. And I think, we live in a world that doesn't feel calm a lot of the time. So whether it's our personal worlds, like there's just, people carry a lot of stress, and there's a lot of busyness. And even if it's not like bad stress, there's just like, there's a lot going on. So many of us are busy. We're tired. If you have kids, you're running around all over the place probably. If you're in your early 20s, early 20s, 30s, whatever. It's like there's a whole weight that comes with that time of your life too. And even as an older person, you get into middle age or even, senior age, it's like there's still a lot you're carrying. All of us have things that are going on, and life can feel anything but calm a lot of the time. And so that line in Silent Night, all is calm, all is bright, we have this beautiful picture of like Mary and Joseph and the angels and the animals, and it's all this pretty and beautiful. And it's like there was a lot of things going on in that story that were not calm, but they still had peace. The tagline for this series is finding peace in a restless world. And it's like somehow in the middle of all of that, Mary, specifically, but Joseph as well, was able to come to a place of peace with God, despite their circumstances. And so that was kind of what we want to talk about in this month, and throughout Advent. And especially on Sunday, we talk about how to find peace in waiting, which is just a huge part of, I think, life with Jesus, is learning how to have peace while you wait.
Yeah. I think everybody's probably experienced that, just like, because God promises to answer prayers.
Yeah.
He promises to answer all of our prayers. Now, sometimes that answer is not what we want. It's yes. God will tell us yes or no, but sometimes it's not yet.
Yeah.
Or hold on, just wait. I'm not ready to give you an answer yet.
Yeah.
And out of those two, that's the hardest one for me, is to be told not yet, or to wait. I'm not ready. I'm not quite ready to give you an answer to this this prayer yet. He has answered all my prayers. He has come through in them in His own time.
Yeah.
With a yes or a no, and whatever is in whatever He wants for me. But in that waiting is the hardest time for me.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's always been true for me. I've always really identified with a couple of stories in my life, even when I was younger. One is the Exodus, and the 40 years in the desert. And I've also really identified with Jesus' 40 days in the wilderness, being tempted. Something about that, just reality of like you're waiting for God to like send you out into something. And how do you exist in the desert while you wait? Those have been two really formative stories for me. And it is like, that's the hardest. Yes or no, you can probably live with, because at least you have an answer. It's sometimes the lack of clarity that comes with waiting that can feel really discouraging or really exhausting. And it is. I think it's one of the most formational like times in our faith is when when God's telling us to wait. When God says not yet, like He's forming us so that I think we can be prepared for the prayer to be answered. Like we can be ready to receive it. But it's not fun. It's not always fun. It's not always easy.
Yeah, and people that are listening to this, they could probably come up with something that they are waiting for an answer on. Like, Lord, I've been praying about this. When is this answer going to come? What is this? What does this look like? And talking through your sermon on Sunday, we're talking about Mary and Joseph. What can we learn from Mary and Joseph through that in our time of waiting? Whether it looks like we're being tempted in the wilderness, or maybe we're wandering, or we're trying to figure things out, and we're just having to. How can we stay calm, and how can that story of Mary and Joseph? How does that help us in this time of waiting and when things can feel not calm?
Yeah. Well, I think the thing I noticed about Mary specifically and Joseph, we'll get to Joseph, but like in the future. But I think with Mary specifically, she knew who she trusted in, and I think that's what made the difference. She says, "Here I am, the servant of the Lord." Right? May it be with me according to your word. She knows who she is. She knows who she's trusting in, and so even in a period of time where like she was kind of saying yes to a lot of waiting. When Mary says, "May it be with me according to your word," she's saying, "I'll wait to have this baby. I'll wait to watch him grow up. I'll wait to raise him. I'll wait," all these things. She's putting herself in a situation where she's going to have a lot of prayers for a long time that she's waiting to see God fulfill. Even when it comes to like her reputation and her family and her town and like all these things, like there's so much going on around her. But yet she was able to trust God because she was confident in His character. You see that in the Magnificat. She knows that like God fulfills his promises. And so she trusts him. And I think that is what allows her to get through this period of what may have felt like waiting or wondering or whatever. And so for us, it's like we have to be sure that we're trusting in the right thing, in the right person, as we're waiting for God to show up and for God to move. Like, if we're waiting on something, maybe it's we're waiting on a relationship, or we're waiting for maybe some relief in something, or we're waiting, for test results to change, or we're waiting for healing, or we're waiting for deliverance from something. Like, as we wait, if we trust in the wrong things, it's just going to increase our anxiety and increase our despair. So if we trust in our money, that's not going to go as far as we think it would. If we trust in other people, they're probably going to let you down at some point. If you trust in yourself, at least for me, I know I'm going to let myself down at some point. So what we trust in as we wait is what makes a difference. And I think Mary shows us that, hey, if you put your trust in the Lord, that won't ever return void. Even if the answer is not yet right now, if you wait, trusting in him will always be the right decision, because he will never abuse our trust. I don't know. That's when I look at Mary, that's what stands out to me from her life, especially at this point.
Yeah. Yeah. And she's obviously not perfect at it.
No, for sure.
And she had a whole life. She had to wait a whole lifetime.
Yeah.
To see some of these prophecies and the things that this angel told her. She had to wait her whole life for these to even become fulfilled. You know, being seeing her son die on the cross, and it's like, oh, well, that's what they were talking about. That's what these prophecies were talking about. That's what this angel's talking about, is he's going to be the Messiah, and this is what it looks like. And she had to wait his whole life and for his resurrection to be able to even see what this announcement was in the verses we read about today. And so it's not always a clear, easy answer right away, and not always an easy answer at the end either.
Yeah.
I mean, it's she saw a lot. She had to fight against the rumors and keep her faith and stay strong despite probably what people were saying about
for
her.
Sure.
And then later on about her son, who she has watched grow up, and she knows, man, that he's perfect, and he's God in flesh, and I have all this. I know who he is. Yet people are saying all these other things about him. It's like, even despite all of those hard things she had to go through, she still trusted in God, and God saw her through all that. Yeah.
Yeah. It's an amazing story, really. And one of the things that I kind of brought out Sunday that I feel like allowed her to do that was I feel like in a lot of ways, Mary just surrendered her life, and I think she was able to surrender her life because she trusted God. Like, she knew who he was. Surrender, I think, is trust in action. And so, if you say you trust your spouse, or you say you trust your coworkers or your friends, or there is some surrendering that has to happen. Like, I have to kind of give a person power over me in some ways because I trust them and I'm surrendering myself to them. Mary, trusted, and she surrendered, like her life plan, her vision for her life, all that. Like it goes kind of up in flames a little bit when Gabriel appears, and her reaction is not, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? What are people going to think? What am I going to say? How are we going to raise this? How are we going to afford this? Her reaction is, I'm the servant of the Lord. May it be with me according to your word. She just surrenders her life. And for us, the challenge is then, like, how do we surrender our life out of trust? And really, I think that surrender is where peace is found. Ultimately, like, if we are able to say, my life isn't my own, my preferences, like my comfort, ultimately, like, I'm willing to lay those down if God calls me to. Like, that's where we find peace. I think is going that I don't have to be in control. I can give somebody else power. I can give somebody else control of my life. And because I trust that God is good, it's actually better for me to surrender that to him, because he can do a better thing with my life than I can on my own. And there's peace in that. It's not always easy. It's not always comfortable. It's not always Doesn't always play out exactly how we'd like it to, but in a world that tells us to like find or protect or prioritize our peace or whatever, it's like, this is actually how you do it. It's not about inflating ourselves or buying ourselves more things or cutting all the wrong people out of our life or having all the right boundaries. Like, some of that's fine. Ultimately, peace is coming from, have I given my life totally over to Jesus or not? And if I have, then I believe God allows us to experience the peace that passes all understanding.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's it. I think you nailed it. Is outside of Christ, there is no peace. And in the moment, there can be chaos. And God's not saying all of that's going to go away. He's not saying, but in that moment, you can have peace knowing that God is in control. And it's a real peace, and it's a real joy, and one that I couldn't live without. And I don't know how people live without that, without the being able to say, this is really hard, this is really scary, this is really exhausting, but God's in control. And it'd be really hard for me to do my life without that peace. And so I would say if anybody's listening, you don't have that peace, your life feels out of control.
Right.
Man, what a great time this time of the year is to say, Lord, I'm going to trust you. And I'm going to give my life to you. And even during these hard times, even when things are bad or they seem like they're not going my way, Lord, let me go your way. And I will be your servant, like Mary said, like Joseph said, like Moses and Noah and Joseph, Joseph in the Old Testament. All these people said, Lord, your way, even through hard things, and they had peace, and even in hard times. We're going to continue this series, the All is Calm, moving into the actual birth and the what we would probably normally see as the nativity part of the scripture. You want to talk a little bit about what we'll be this Sunday?
Yes, this Sunday we're moving into the idea of how do we find peace in chaos, and we'll talk about Mary and Joseph traveling back to Bethlehem for the census and giving birth in the manger and in the stable and the guest room, essentially, and just how chaotic that all must have felt. And again, the reality that like we sing all is calm, all is bright, but even all the context around that night specifically, like the travel, the stress, the pregnant woman on a camel, whatever the picture that we have, like it doesn't seem peaceful at all. It seems very stressful. They get there, they show up, there's no room. Oh my gosh, where are we going to stay? Like there's all these things going into it. And yet there's this like pocket of peace because they have trusted in what God's called them to. And so for us, like, a lot of us face chaotic lives. It could be a chaotic year. You could be walking into this holiday season, this Christmas season, without somebody for the first time. You could be walking into it hoping just for things to get a little bit better. And it's like there's a lot of chaos. And if you're not experiencing it personally, like look around. There's chaos in the world. We all feel the weight of that, I think, in some ways. And so how do we, in spite of all that, how do we find peace in it? And again, it centers back to that little baby boy in the manger. It's like he's the Prince of our peace. Like he is where it comes from. So we'll get into all that Sunday and kind of roll through like what does it mean to find peace when life feels really chaotic?
I love it. I think this is a perfect series. Like I said, coming out of that keeping Christ at the center series, going straight into this all is calm in a chaotic time for most people. Christmas is a chaotic time for everybody, even people who are keeping Christ at the center. It's a busy time.
Busy time of year.
And so chaos, it can come in very quickly. So I think this series is going to be one that really speaks to people, and definitely go back, check out Kaleb's sermon this past Sunday, and think about that. Think about that in your life, and then we'd love for everybody to join us Sunday, 10:30, as we're working through this Advent season.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, it'll be fun. We've got a couple more weeks of this series left, and I'm excited to talk about how do we find peace in chaos this next week on the Table Talk podcast. So we will see you guys then. Have a great week, and happy Advent for now. We'll do Merry Christmas in a few weeks.